I'm Sue Detweiler, your host. My goal is to help you live with more passion, love with more purpose, and lead an overcoming life. Well, today we can't get away from it. We are on screens. If you have a phone, uh, you're walking around with a computer in your hands. We're watching television, we're watching movies, we're connecting with people on online medias. We can't get away from the fact that we are in a digital age. So, how do we talk about having a healthy perspective on media? Today, Kathleen Cooke, Influence Women Global Director, is joining me and talking about how we can build communities that are based on unity, where women can come together to connect, to collaborate, and create. Well, today on Healing Rain, I have Kathleen Cooke with me. I'm so happy you're here today.
Oh, it's so fun to be with you, Sue. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to invite Kathleen this week because on September 17th in Dallas, we will be launching a brand new chapter of Influence Women, and Kathleen will be speaking at this meeting. So if you're in Dallas, I hope you can come and get involved.
I'm so excited that you'll be our chapter director there in Dallas. So thank you so much for your team that you've already put together and your great leadership. I know they're going to thrive under it.
I am so excited about what God has been doing through you and your husband globally with Influence Lab. And in the last 2 years, you began Influence Women, which has chapters in Dallas, will be the seventh city. So
Correct.
how did you come about beginning Influence Women?
Well, first of all, I have to say it's not me, it's the Lord that really leads because this was the furthest thing that I could have ever dreamed of ever doing with my life. My husband and I, for years, have been in Los Angeles with a production company, Cook Media Group. We've been all over the world in about 75 countries. I just got back from Africa a week and a half ago. And so I was in 9 countries last year. And Africa was my sixth country so far this year. So we keep our tennis shoes on and tied these days, as I laughingly say. But God, really directed our lives as we've traveled and seen the need for good production quality out there, particularly those who are wanting to put forward a Christian focus in what they're doing and to do it well. And having learned and lived in Hollywood for years, we know that there's so much competition out there these days. And so, the Lord just said to us, it's time for you to kind of focus on the mission of what I've really called you to do, not just production work, but the overall mission of what really Influence Lab was. So we created the Influence Lab basically out of that. Because we saw that from other countries, the need for education, the need for us to teach and to grow individuals who could use media effectively to tell their stories. We've also seen the downside of what media has in the destruction of our culture, of our world, of our biblical foundations. And so they've learned to use media effectively themselves to focus on their agendas. And so Influence Lab came out of that. And then, of course, my work in Hollywood for years and years as a Screen Actors Guild actress in production there within our company. I saw the challenges specifically that women had. And my heart is always to not be inwardly focused, but outwardly focused on other people and know that it is in relationships and in being together in a community that is the foundation of what Jesus really wants us to be as Christians and believers. We are a community of people. I often say I look at Jesus's last prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane before his arrest and his final crucifixion. His prayer was for unity. His prayer was for the disciples to wake up almost not just even physically wake up from their sleep, but wake up to the fact of what their biggest challenge was going to be was unity. And so that then allowed me to start in my home and of a small group of professional women that I was working with in Hollywood, to come together, and it just started growing and growing and growing. And right before the COVID hit, we had over 100 women in a studio in Los Angeles. And then I started doing webinars during COVID because of the international work that I've done for many years. So we started getting the international group going, which brought in a global aspect of women working not only in America, but all over the world, and the challenges that so many of these women have. And I don't have time in this interview to go through those, but I know that many, you probably understand that life for women in many of these countries, especially as a career woman in media, is even more challenging than it is here in America. And so my focus then was on helping them online. And then, of course, when COVID hit, I had a girl. We had a big event in Hollywood. Had 125 show up for, right at COVID. People were still wearing masks, and they were, in Hollywood. Nobody, was telling you to congregate at all. And so,
You were
um,
in California.
we were in, a challenging community there in California. And so, but I had a woman fly out from Atlanta, and she said, "We have to start this in Atlanta." I said, "Okay, let's go. Let's just do it, see what God does." And then we started, the next group in Nashville, which is now where my residence is as of this week. We've opened our second Cook Media Group office here. We have our offices still in Los Angeles, but we've opened another office here in Nashville. And so God had me here to start that one. We started one in Baton Rouge, in Houston, in Orange County, California, we have one. And now I'm excited to say we're launching in Dallas this September. So I'm so excited about that. But
I'm
that's,
excited about it too.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, God just does it. My head is twirling right now trying to figure out, all the aspects of it. There are challenges. I've moved into the global directorship. I've stepped down from being the Hollywood chapter director now. The gal, Deanna Kane, who's been with us there for a couple of years, working side by side, is now taking over in Hollywood. And so we are so excited just to see what God's going to do. My challenges now are funding, which is
Yes.
not an easy thing. I mean, pray for me, because I believe that if we're going to change our culture, it's going to be through media. We have to stop screaming at our screens the fact that we don't like what we see in them, and start praying for the individuals and helping to support the individuals who can make what is being seen in our screens. Because our secular community, our anti-biblical community for years now has got their agenda, and they know that using media is going to be the most effective way of reaching audiences. That's where everybody is. I laughingly say, when you lose your cell phone, how fast do you panic these days? Because we are so, addicted to our screens. And young people today, I mean, we're listening, you look at a young person, they've got their phone in front of them, they've got a laptop computer on their lap, or, an iPad or something, and they're watching television off to the side. So we're on multiple screens. And I see the effect, especially that a media is having on our children. And if you're a mom or a dad, that is, it's impossible to keep them from media. In fact, I do a lot of work with futurists who are talking about our future generation and the impact that media is having. And now we can turn off our screens if we really want to, but the future generation will not be able to turn off their screens. We are having chips implanted in our wrists. We are going out into the
Wow.
cloud. All these things, I could talk on and on about that. But in saying all that, that's why we've got to be there for Influence Women. It's why we have to grow this community of believers who have a biblical foundation that want to entertain. We still want to be entertained. That's great. Let's get good Christian foundational entertainment going. We want to see documentaries. We want to see um, uh, in just different types of programming. Yes, we need those preaching shows still, and they need to be of good quality and watchable. So there are all specs. We need good radio. We need good publishers. We need good authors and novelists. We need all of our rich community of Christian believers who can lay down great foundational biblical aspects into our screens, into what we're doing. But we need to do it well, and we need to do it with excellence. And so part of what we do with Influence Women is to teach educational aspects of things. How do you direct a show? How do you light a show? How do you publish a book? How do you do a podcast? How can I get involved as an administrator and PR or marketing? All these things. We are a collaborative business. And so Influence Women takes in all of those kind of things and allows us then to grow a community that can collaborate together so that we can be creative and create for Christ. I call it the 4 C's. We connect, we collaborate, so we can create, so we can do it all for Christ, which is our foundation.
I love how God has been breathing on this, and your heart is that for this to be a professional organization of women leaders, and they're leading professionally in these areas of media, entertainment, music, the arts. And so I'm thinking right now there may be some people from Dallas that this is airing about a week before our first Dallas launch. And if you're hearing this, we want to invite you to come and get involved on the ground level. Kathleen will be in Dallas this week, so you'll get to meet her. And if you are watching from another city or globally, which many of you are, maybe this is going to be used as a spark for you to pray about whether or not God would be calling you to get involved in your city or start a chapter in your city. Um, God's moving through Influence Women.
Yes.
So, what else would you like to say, Kathleen, as
Ah.
we close? I know there's so much to talk about, but as we close today, what else would you like the listeners to know?
Well, first of all, I want to encourage people that if you own a cell phone and you are in social and have a social media account, you're in media. Often I run into people and I say, well, I'm not in media, I'm just a housewife, or, I'm, a mom, or, I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a nurse, I'm not in media. And I say, do you have a cell phone? Do you have a social media account? You're in media because you are affecting other people, and sometimes much more so than some of the big celebs. You have big media accounts. And so you are in media and you have an influence. And that's why we call it Influence Women, is because I believe each of us, wherever you are, has an influence. And most of the time, we are connected in some way with media. That's who we are. That's our world today. We are digitally connected. And so God wants us to be connected with each other. So I would encourage you, if you know anyone that's in the industry or out of the industry but is connected, you have a social media account or a social or a cell phone, you are welcome to come to Influence Women. We want you there. We would love for you to hear our heart and our passion. We believe that we should not be separated. We believe in unity. That's Christ's final prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, was for unity. And we're not going to accomplish things and change our culture and change the media until we come together. And so I'm calling women all over the world. I'm calling men to support us too, because we need your education. We need the men around us to support us as well. And so I'm excited for the launch of Influence Women Dallas and what God's going to have there, inviting everyone to come and share the evening with us, get to know each other. I love knowing people because it's in relationship that we grow together and can grow that community together. So my heart is going out to you. If you are a mom especially and you want to know about how do I manage my children in media today, we will be addressing those things, all of those kind of things. If you're a nurse, a lawyer, in any kind of capacity, we know that you are involved in media in some way, and we want to see you learn how to do it effectively, and we want to encourage your life to use it effectively to share the love of Jesus. We're all about the love of Jesus and sharing the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, goodness, kindness, gentleness. That's who we are as Influence Women. Those are what are the foundations we need to continue to rebuild.